live.
Welcome to the Wartime MMA podcast, UFC, Fight Night, fucking Apex, Zalal versus Aljo. Back to the Apex, you know how it is. Honestly, probably a better card than last week's live event. So that's something, I guess, despite it still being in the Apex. But without further ado, I think we're just going to get right into the early prelim opener of Talita Alencar and Julia Pilastri. Does anybody want to go first?
I'll go. It's a good fight for a woman's standpoint. I'm gonna go with Julia Pilastri. I like this bitch. She's very good. She's mean. She's tough, and she's also the younger fighter, which is crazy to say if you look at the resumes. Talita is 7-1, and she's 35 years old. Pilastri is 14-5 and 28 years old. Pilastri is not only the more experienced fighter, but she's also the younger fighter. So she has two advantages in her name. So I think that we will get a Julia Pilastri masterclass women's MMA decision. But she is a tough. She do be getting finishes sometimes. So it is anything goes. But I'm gonna go with the decision here for Pilastri. She's a tough bitch.
I have to agree. I'm also going to be picking Julia Pilastri. I think her style on the feet, it's like a Muay Thai-ish style. I think it actually is pretty effective, especially for the women's divisions where a lot of women don't do damage on the feet. I think she's one of the few that can. Talita Alencar just hasn't really impressed me anyway. She's very small for strawweight, which is saying something. She's 5'1". She's almost like she's very small. I wouldn't be surprised if she was 4'11" and just doesn't want to put that out there. Beat Carnelossi, finished her in the third, who sucks. Beat Demopoulos, who sucks. She had two fights with Stephanie Luciano, losing the rematch, and the first fight was a draw. Stephanie Luciano is just kind of a brawler, no technique. And, despite her like trying to get the knockout every second, like she's not very good at getting it. I much prefer Pilastri's style on the feet where it's technique and finding the openings. And what would you know? She gets more finishes. Her Pilastri's losses really aren't that bad. Lupita Godinez is not a bad loss. Josephine Knudsen isn't a bad loss either. And Josephine Knudsen is a pretty good kickboxer who was completely nullified in the striking by Pilastri and went to grappling in order to win that fight. She shouldn't have been cut. She was actually a very good women's fighter, but Julia Pilastri is as well, and I think she's probably a little bit more exciting. And I think she beats Talita Alencar, very small, older. I think if you're losing on the feet to what's her name, Luciano, with moments that she can defend the takedowns. I like the takedown defense and striking much better on Pilastri. I don't mind a finish. Women, though, I'm going to say decision, but this is one where I could see a finish. I'll say Pilastri 29-28. Give Alencar a round with control.
Opening fight of the night in the strawweight division. I think this is the strawweight division, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. In the strawweight division between two Brazilian contenders, you have 7-1-1 Talita Alencar going up against 14-5 Julia Pilastri. This is your classic striker versus grappler matchup, very black and white fight. I feel as though if Alencar isn't getting success with the grappling, she is a bit of a sitting duck, specifically in this matchup on the feet. She had the two fights with Stephanie Luciano, and all things considered, I do think Pilastri is a better striker than Luciano. I liked what I saw in her last couple performances, and I look at her losses, and they're all actually not that bad. She lost her first pro fight to a fighter who's currently 7-3. She lost her third pro fight to someone who's currently 15-4, and the other three losses are Jasmine Jasudavicius, Josephine Knudsen, and what's her name? Lupi Godinez. Who I do think all of those, perhaps definitely the first three, but maybe the last two are better strikers than Alencar. So a very black and white fight, but I am going to go with the favorite here. I am going to go with Pilastri. Mainly being I'm looking at Alencar's takedown accuracy in the UFC. It's only 27%. So she has amazing jiu-jitsu and world-class credentials in grappling. I completely understand that, but I think the gap in this feet is just ridiculous in this fight. I'm actually calling for a TKO. I'm going to go. I could see late second, maybe third. Maybe I'll go third round. I'll go third round TKO Pilastri. where Alan Carr is just, it might be sooner, honestly. I think Alan Carr is going to struggle to get Palistri down. And I think like on the feet the entirety of the way, it is Palistri all day. It could really be sooner. I'm just going to go third round because I feel like if she is somehow able to survive the first 2 rounds, being on the feet in any moment with Palistri, I think she'll be tired from takedown attempts, and it will eventually lead to a fatigued Alan Carr getting beat up and pretty much aura farmed in round 3. I'm going to go Palistri third round TKO. Nasty.
Moving on to our next fight of the card, Max Griffin versus Victor Valenzuela. I'll kick this one off, and I'll kick it off because I'm going with the underdog, Max Griffin. I have watched Victor Valenzuela's tape. I've watched him on the Contender Series, and despite him losing to a pretty good fighter on the Contender Series, there's just something about his game that I'm like, I don't like him. He's sloppy. There's moments where he's looking decent with the combos. They're not like great technique combos, but I guess he's throwing them and breaking people. So, I was kind of thinking, he could probably do that to like an older guy. But these guys he's facing are just complete fucking bums, and I'm always getting swayed by, oh, he has a kickboxing fight. He must be a really good striker. Yeah, it's not always the fucking case. They have bums in kickboxing as well. There's a reason, like, no one talks about this guy from Chile. There's other Chilean prospects. I don't think they're in a desperate need for Chilean prospects. I don't think the UFC is. This kind of pisses me off as well, because when you lose in the Contender Series, you kind of lose your spot until you come back. He beat one guy who was a bum, also in the UFC at one point, Yusaku Kinoshita. And it kind of brutal looking finish where he had his like arm twisted behind his back while he was ground and pounding him, which was a finger in the glove. This guy Valenzuela is a cheater. He grabbed Kinoshita's inside of the glove to twist his arm behind his back in kind of like a key lock position and just drop hammer fists and punches on him. And, so if you got to cheat to beat a fucking bum, like, I don't look highly on you. I do think the guy he beat in Contenders or lost to in Contender Series is good. Michael Oliveira, very technical striker, but he had nothing for Michael Oliveira. You're a kickboxer and you have nothing for this guy. I don't even think Oliveira has kickboxing experience. He's just, a well-disciplined MMA kickboxer, and he fucking smoked him. I do think he's good, but it's just like, I don't rate those credentials of kickboxing, not the same way I'd rate it for like a Artem Vakatov if he were to cross over. Who the fuck is this guy beating? Nobody. And he's sloppy. Max Griffin just had a very close fight with Chris Curtis. They called it a split. I do think it was clear that Curtis won, but I think Griffin's hanging in there against these guys. He's not getting finished by Michael Morales. That is something that I'm kind of impressed by. He did get rear naked choked by Chiesa, but I don't think Valenzuela is going to go to the grappling. And Max Griffin has been known to mix in the grappling to get decision wins when he needs to. Against the Tim Means fight, Jeremiah Wells, he was able to out-grapple these guys who honestly have pretty decent grappling themselves. I would trust Jeremiah Wells has better grappling than Valenzuela. Griffin used his back foot movement and kind of fought off the back foot and won the first round, outboxing Chris Curtis. And I was like, holy shit, this is going to be another one of those underdogs that literally nobody picks. Curtis winded up winning, but, it was somewhat impressive to me. I hate the nepotism of Valenzuela just getting another shot in the UFC. I don't think he's good enough to be here. He's no prospect. This isn't like some young, fresh 28-year-old versus Max Griffin. This is a 32-year-old. Why is he signed? Dana always says he doesn't sign 30-year-olds. This guy's 32 and lost on the Contender Series. By all means, he blew his shot. But instead, we're signing him while Parnas goes to MVP and Paul Hughes goes to PFL. But we're, cutting Vucenic as well and just cutting guys just because. It's annoying to me. Fuck Dana. Fuck this Chilean guy. I'm going to pick Max Griffin by decision. I think he's going to be able to mix in the grappling where he needs to, and I think he'll surprisingly be decent at boxing on the back foot. Fuck Victor Valenzuela and fuck Dana White. Honestly, like I'm not going to say that. But Dana White needs to stop being the manager of the UFC. He needs to be retired. He needs to give it to somebody that cares. He needs to be lobotomized. I'll say it. Fuck it. He needs to be lobotomized. Like, somebody needs to bring Dana White back to his cooler, more chill self. I think a lobotomy would help. But yeah, I'm gonna go Griffin by decision.
Wow. I get where Alex is coming from. I really am, but I don't feel confident picking Max Griffin in Big 2026. I don't. Alex has a set of balls. He's gonna let his nuts hang. It could land because Victor Valenzuela, like he said, isn't really a great prospect in a way. He's not even really a prospect to me either, but Max Griffin's Max Griffin, man. I gotta go with Victor Valenzuela. I'm gonna go with him by 29. I think he will get a weird split decision nod. I think he will. I know that Alex has said, like, he nailed it on the button with his breakdown. UFC's probably not dying for a Chilean, but they also probably want to get rid of Max Griffin at the same time. So I kind of see why they did this fight. So I'm gonna go with Victor Valenzuela. I think he'll get it done. I think he'll do I think there could be a moment where Max Griffin looks like he's winning the fight, but then he'll lose. I just can't trust Max Griffin to win, man. He's not. He's also not good. So it's kind of like putting shit against shittier type of fight. Like, who's gonna be shit and who's shittier. I think I'll pick Victor Valenzuela to win this one, but I will fade him in the future when he fights somebody else that's decent.
Interesting fight here in the welterweight division. UFC debut of one Victor Valenzuela going up against veteran Max Griffin. I do think durability-wise, Max Griffin's not bad. He's only been knocked out the one time by Colby Covington in like 2016, I think that was. A majority of his losses are by decision, from what I'm seeing. He doesn't really get subbed. Has like competent awareness on the grappling to stay safe. Yeah, he does have actually a one submission loss. But the losses he's going against are just more UFC caliber. Chris Curtis split decision. He got subbed by Michael Chiesa. He's got good jiu-jitsu. Going the distance with Michael Morales, I do hear what Alex is saying. I do rate that, especially after seeing like what he did to Burns and Magny and others. Lost a split to Magny. Lost a split to Oliveira. A lot of splits for Max Griffin I'm seeing. He just seems to let fights kind of get past him. Split to Thiago Alves. Really, like a lot of these fights are winnable for him. It's just Chidi Njokuani split on the regional scene. Like, it's crazy. I do think he is durable. Valenzuela has been knocked out twice. He got knocked out by a surging contender in his own right, PDQ. That's his nickname. He's undefeated, Oliveira, on the Contender Series, and he lost to a Cuban on the regional scene. So I'm seeing like athletic South Americans seem to be his kryptonite, Valenzuela, with him being a South American fighter himself. It's a tough fight because I see both sides of the coin. I see why Mike doesn't trust Max Griffin, and I see why Alex wants to take the shot with Max Griffin. Valenzuela is unproven at a UFC level. Yes, Max Griffin isn't good, but at least we know what he is. We've seen it at a proven level. You're kind of gambling and hoping and picking on Valenzuela despite him being favored. This is a tough fight. Youth advantage, I would say, is in favor of Valenzuela, but it's not like crazy. It's 40-32. It's an 8-year gap, but that's not as significant as you think. The stats say strikes per minute or equivalent. This is tough. I don't know what Valenzuela's gas tank looks like the longer the fight goes, whereas I kind of feel like I know what I'm getting with Griffin. Man, this really does kind of feel like a bit of a coin flip. But I see the Max Griffin look. I do. Because if Valenzuela doesn't knock him out, I mean, even though Griffin's been very unsuccessful in decision-based scenarios, it's just more proven at a UFC level. He's got the reach advantage. Tough fight, but ever so slightly, I think I am going to go with the UFC debutante, Victor Valenzuela, by decision. I think it's going to be a split. I think it's going to be another split for fucking Max Griffin. I think it's going to be a very close fight. I think round one, I'm thinking the rookie, the debutante, is going to try to give his best showing. So I'm assuming he wins round one. Round two, I think, is going to be a toss-up. Round three, I think, will be Max Griffin. And it'll be one of those fights where you leave thinking Max Griffin should have won that. But I guess by default, better record, new market with Chile. I understand what Alex was saying, and he's right, because Valenzuela doesn't look special, but I think it's just a matter of like Max Griffin kind of lets fights slip away. A lot of his losses are by split. Are those fighters potentially better than Valenzuela? Maybe, but I think he's catching him at a good time. So I'm going to go Victor Valenzuela by split decision in a very close fight that Max Griffin arguably probably should have won.
All right, moving on to our next fight of the card. Francis Marshall versus Lucas Brennan. Neither of these guys were booked to fight on this card before recently. These are two featherweights that are fighting at lightweight on short notice. I feel like Francis Marshall, I've seen him improve recently. I feel like the Francis Marshall that kind of got robbed against Myron Santos was the best version we've ever seen. And I feel like that pissed him off and lit even more of a fire under him. Went back and got a finish over a bum and Eric Silva. I'm not looking too deep into that, but I do think Francis Marshall is I don't think he'll ever be ranked, but I think he could be at the lower rankings. I feel like I'm watching steady improvement in his game, despite him having a pretty shit record. This guy, Lucas Brennan, I just don't know who he is, really. He's coming from Bellator. I mean, who's going to pick a Bellator, right, kid? But fucking, he's got 2 losses. He beat Joshua Weems, who's a UFC guy, I guess, at one point. I think he lost to, like, Cameron Simon, if I remember that right. Mauricio Gomez and Dimitri Ivy are his 2 losses, 2 decisions. Gomez is 4-0 and Ivy is 12-7. That was 2 years ago. He's 25. He's young. Francis Marshall's 27. Maybe Brennan has improved a little bit. He seems to be relatively okay in the grappling. But I think Francis Marshall, those 2 years of age, that's 2 years of experience. Plus, he's been in the UFC for longer. I like his grappling. I think he's improving in his striking. We saw that against Myron. I'm going to trust Francis Marshall to win this by decision. I could even see a finish, but I just don't really know enough about Brennan. And if he's got a grappling background, maybe he can make this somewhat tough. He's 25, so it's not like he's just an old man out there to slaughter. I'll say he makes the distance. I'm going to say Marshall, though, 30-27, clean sweep. Wins every round, just the more UFC-ready guy.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Francis Marshall as well. He's the more improved fighter. Looked really good in his last fight. I'm just gonna go by what I know from either or. I don't really know too much about Lucas Brennan. Didn't really do too much tape on him, but I did a lot of tape for Francis Marshall. He looked a lot improved, even though I thought he won that one fight that Alex was alluding to. But yeah, I'm just gonna go off by I'm just gonna go organic and go with the person I know more, and I'm gonna go with Francis Marshall. Minus 600 is insane to me, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't really know too much about Lucas Brennan, so we'll see. I'm gonna go with Francis Marshall by decision.
We are in the featherweight division. Very late fight this one is. Francis Marshall going up against UFC debutante. Let me not butcher the name. Where is it here? Sorry. Lucas Brennan. Yeah, I like Francis Marshall, the fireman. All 3 of his losses, I mean, all things considered, I mean, they're pretty justifiable. I mean, prime Isaac Bulgarian before he was rigging fights. William Gomez by split. I thought arguably could have won that fight. Myron Santos by split. Closing in round 3, he was the favorite. Marshall could have arguably gotten his hand raised. So 2 splits and a finish by prime Isaac Bulgarian. And the 2 splits being to 2 very good strikers who I know are better than this Brennan. I don't know anything about this Brennan. He's 25 years old. He's making his UFC debut. From what I understand, his primary gym is ran by, I assume, his father, who was like 21-14 as a pro fighter, which is cool that your dad and you could bond and you could have a gym and everything. That's dope. He has a good record. His 2 losses are by decision. One to Mauricio Gomez, another to like a 13-9 fighter. I just think a little too soon, a little too quick. Great opportunity on his hands, but I just think he's running into a bit of a fire truck. I was about to say a freight train, but I'm going to say a fire truck. I like Francis Marshall a lot. I really do. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's very well-rounded. He's had some ups and downs, but he's made adjustments. I like his well-roundedness. The only critique I suppose I would say is he's not that intimidating, like physically in the striking. He only does have the 1 TKO win. Yeah, he's just super well-rounded. He can wrestle. He's got submission attempts. He has good, like, decent striking for having a grappling base. Like, I think Marshall's a very good fighter. So I'm going to go with a decision win as well. but I could see honestly a TKO. I don't think he'd want to like play in the guard of Brennan given the 8 submission wins, but yeah, I think Marshall's just better everywhere. Experience, wrestling, striking, grappling, more proven at a UFC level. Yeah, I go Francis Marshall by decision, masterclass.
Moving on to our next fight. Similar to the last fight, these fighters will be fighting one weight class above their normal weight. 2 flyweights fighting at bantamweight. Jafel Filho and Cody Durden. Cody Durden taking the fight on short notice. I'm going to pick Jafel Filho. I think he's a really good unranked flyweight. He is 32, but fucking Durden's 35. I'm not going to worry about it in this fight. I rate the submission win to Carpenter. I picked him in that one. Carpenter's a pretty good grappler who out-grappled Ulanbekov, and Jafel Filho just subbed him in one. I like Jafel Filho. I think he's good on the feet as well. He's got body shot KOs. I think on the feet, Jafel Filho is patient. He could find a counter shot and honestly win this on the feet. I wouldn't be surprised. But Cody Durden's been subbed recently by Nascimento, who I actually thought Filho beat. But Jafel Filho is a great grappler, great jiu-jitsu game. I'm going to trust him to get a submission win over Cody Durden. I think this will be a finish for Filho, whether it's a KO or a sub. Cody Durden recently lost, coming back on short notice. You know, when you're ready to cut to flyweight and then all of a sudden you have to go to bantamweight, you're probably in a lower weight class. So in that way, or you're lower in weight than you would be normally if you knew you were going to bantamweight. So for that, I think Cody Durden has a slight advantage just because he can come in not expecting a weight cut, just go right to 35, whereas Filho might be a little lower in weight than he would want to be, but I don't think it'll make a big difference. I'm going to say Jafel Filho, second round armbar. Cody Durden tries some shit on top and pays for it.
This one, I'm going to let my nuts hang on this one. I'm going to go with a first round sub for Jafel Filho. Cody's good. Cody is a tough dude, but I think he just had he had a fight where he was like taking a lot of damage in that fight, and I think that's too early for him to come back from. Well, hold up. Let me take a look how long this was. March 7th. You know, I'll go second round sub because I'm starting to see a little trend here. Cody don't really get finished in the first unless if you're Muhammad Makayev or Jimmy Flick. So I won't. I'll be respectful, but I swear if Jafel Filho gets a first round finish, I'm gonna be mad. But I'm gonna go with the second round finish. I'm gonna go with the sub. I'll go I'll go arm triangle. For Jafel Filho. Maybe a club and sub could happen. Who knows? I do think he will get the sub here. I just don't really like the short notice for Cody. Tough that Cody's coming back this early though.
Interesting fight here in the flyweight division. We have the Pastor 17-4, if that is correct. Let me double check. 17-4. Yeah, 17-4. The Pastor Jafel Filho going up against Cody Custom Made Durden 17-10-1. Taking this fight on fairly short notice. Cody Durden is. Yeah, like, you know, this is a guy who's been around like the UFC. He's fought the best of the best in the flyweight division, truthfully. Like, he really has been like through the who's who of the division. Good, bad, rising, old. Like, he has seen a bunch of different styles and different types of fighters. He's got a tough one in front of him here in Jafel Filho. Durable. Yeah, like his 2 losses are by his 4 losses. 2 of them are by submission, 2 of them by decision. Never been knocked out. Jafel's good. Trains at Nova União. Really impressed me in his last time out. And Cody Durden, like, he's tough. Trains at like top team. Faced a bunch of different styles. He's usually come out pretty like good in the first round. These last couple of fights, like even in losses, like the Alan Nascimento fight, I thought he had a good first round, and then he got caught in the second round. Things of that variety. He has like decent wrestling. I'm torn because I am going to go Jafel Filho. It's just what method do you pick him? Because Cody Durden has lost in all 3 ways multiple times, whether it's decision, submission, or knockout. It seems that submission is his most prolific like route of losing. He has 3 decision losses, 5 submission losses, 2 TKOs. Majority of them are in the second round, like Mike said, but I'm going to steal Mike's prediction originally. I was just really impressed with what I saw in his last outing against Clayton Carpenter, Jafal Filho. And I think this fight being on short notice, not saying Cody's here to get a check, but I mean, I don't think he's winning. So I kind of guess I am saying that by default. I am going to go with a first round submission for Jafal Filho. I was really impressed with what he did against Clayton Carpenter, who had a fairly competitive fight against Tagiru Lembekov, and he just like made short work of him with the Kimura. I could see a knockout too on the feet because Jafal has been looking really better there as well. But I'll go first round sub for Jafal Filho. I think his grappling's on a different level from Durden's, simply put, and he's just the better overall fighter.
Moving on to our first women's fight of the night. Me and Mike put our undefeated women's bantamweight records on the line for Michelle Montague versus Mayra Bueno Silva. Yeah, no. Saggy Tits McGee ain't winning this one. I got Michelle Montague. They're replacing the saggy tits for a hot blonde woman. So grappler, striker. She has an ability to do both. Mostly a grappler. Undefeated, I think. So, that's something. She hasn't lost. Mayra Bueno Silva feels like a PFL fighter. Have fun in the PFL. Tyler Santos is there. I don't know why I always kind of thought of them as like identical fighters when they were both in the UFC. They're not. But they are going to both be in the PFL. Whereas Michelle Montague went from the PFL to the UFC. So clearly there was something there that the UFC thought would work out. And Mayra Bueno Silva, don't know why she's still here. If you look at like her Tapology record, it's just loss, draw. She hasn't won in a long time. Or actually, no, that was a no contest, not a draw, because she subbed Holly Holm and popped. Ever since she popped, man, Saggy Tits McGee ain't been there. I'm going to go Michelle Montague, out grappling, out striking, just being more athletic, being less saggy, being less retarded. The days of Mayra Bueno Silva getting guillotines up against the fence are long gone. I'm going to go Montague, just schooling her. And eventually, I think she'll get a submission. I'm going to say third round, armbar, Michelle Montague.
Yeah, I got Michelle as well. I'm not picking Mayra Bueno Silva to win a fight in Big 2026 ever. She's shit. She doesn't make any sort of improvement. Her last, I don't even remember her biggest win. Her biggest win was supposed to be Holly Holm, but then she popped for steroids in that fight. So, she kind of fucked herself on that one. So she went from possibly having her biggest win as Holly Holm, but now her biggest win is Stephanie Edgar. That is not a good that's a horrible way to shoot yourself in the foot. But she tried to add some extra testosterone for herself to make her more manly. So normally I do go by that topic. Whoever's the more manlier woman wins the fight. But she's not even a good. She's not even a good stud. Like she don't really show any like good improvements. She's on a huge losing streak. Got fucked up by what's her face? Macy Chasson. Macy Chasson ain't bad, but like still that is, ever since she got fucked up by her, like she ended up not being the same afterwards. She got cooked by Jacqueline Cavalcanti twice. Oh, no. It's not different person. Jacqueline Cavalcanti, she beat her. But I got two J's mixed up. She got fucked up by Jasmine Jasudavicius first. Not bad. And then she got cooked by Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I'm going to go with Michelle Montague. I think I botched her name, but I don't really care. I'm going to go with decision winner. Ooh. She actually has more finishes than she does decisions. Am I going to gamble this one here, chat? I'll go with a gamble here. I'll go with the rear naked choke submission. It looks like she likes that one. I'll go second round rear naked choke. So I don't look like... I think I'll go with the second round sub. Second round sub for Michelle Montague. I think I'm yapped way too much for this fight.
Interesting fight here in the women's bantamweight division between former title challenger Mayra Bueno Silva going up against surging undefeated contender Michelle the Wild One Montague. This is a good fight in the women's bantamweight division, contrary to popular opinion. These are two prolific finishers, honestly, all things considered. Both of these girls have a lot of submissions, and neither have ever been subbed. In fact, all of Myra's losses are by decision. She loses to Jacqueline Cavalcanti, good fighter. Jasmine Judavicius. I think that might have been at 135, but Jasmine's a flyweight. Macy Chasson by doctor stoppage. I will say she was doing decent in that fight. Buena Silva before the cut. Raquel Pennington in the title fight, and Minon Fioro. I mean, these are all tough girls. Marina Moroz. These are all UFC caliber women she's losing to by decision. Who I would venture to say, all like maybe aside from like Jasmine and Macy, like they're all better strikers than Montague. But Montague is legit grappling. A lot of 6 submissions and 7 pro wins. Transit American Top Team. You already know how I feel about American Top Team. 32 years old. She's really good. Her only 2 losses in like pro, like not even pros, like in amateurs, it's the same girl, and this girl is very good. This is Sabrina De Souza representing Bahrain. She's Brazilian. She's really good. She's like Dakota Decheva's biggest competition, in my opinion, in the PFL. Those are her only 2 losses in the amateurs, and both were by decision. So I think that tells you a testament to how tough and like good Montague is. The pick is obviously Montague. I'm more of a Buena Silva fan out of the panel between the 3 of us. Out of Alex, Mike, and me, I guess I'd be the biggest advocate for Myra. I find her fun. Like she really is finish or bust. It really is simple as that. If she don't get the finish, she's losing the fight. She's first round 2 as well. I think she fades drastically after round 1. And a problem in this matchup is her takedown defense is shit. Luana Carolina actually has better statistical takedown defense than Myra Buena Silva. Now, that could be that she does play a lot of submissions, like so she's willing to give up bottom position, but nonetheless, that's not great in this matchup because I envision Montague being on top of Buena Silva as long as she was against Carolina. The question is, does she get the finish? She has no TKOs. Buena Silva's never been knocked out or subbed. She's only lost decisions. So for that reason, out of respect for Buena Silva, I'm going to go Montague by decision, where it's very similar to her UFC debut. And she just like has 10 minutes at least of control time out of a 15-minute bout on Buena Silva. So yeah, I'll go Michelle Montague by decision, where her wrestling and grappling just shows out. And if she does get the sub on Buena Silva, that's very impressive because Buena Silva's never been subbed before, and she has decent jiu-jitsu. But Alex made all the points. She's not the same fighter since the PED pop. She's just not. So, yeah. Montague decision.
All right, moving on. The next fight of the card, Cedricus Dumas versus Jackson McVeigh. I'm actually surprised to see that Jackson McVeigh is the favorite. I thought Dumas would be. But I am picking Jackson McVeigh. Both guys are bums. I'm not going to pretend like either one of them are good, but looking at Cedricus Dumas, I guess if I were to give him like a perma perk or a wild card factor, it'd be like he needs this. He has no money. But like then again, the trap exists. You know, the trap. You know, sell a couple bags of weed here and there in Orlando or Pensacola or wherever you're from. You know, it's illegal there, so there's a market. Might as well. Maybe you could steal like tires off a boat. I don't know. I don't know what people do in Florida. It seems like that's what they do. He's got I don't know if he's got more losses in the UFC or arrests in Florida, but you know, I feel like, you know, there is a whole nother career path, legal or not, for Cedricus Dumas. If he fails here, we are going to hear about him again. But Jackson McVeigh, I feel like, you know, he's like your sister's brother's sister. You know, there's definitely something going on there. He's got an ability in the clinch. That's definitely the best thing I feel like out of either one of them. Neither do anything good. But you know, I guess taking down Brundage for Dumas and having a good clinch game for Jackson McVeigh. But in this fight, you know, am I going to trust Dumas to really like out grapple McVeigh? I'm not. And I'm not going to trust him to pick at range either. Because even when he's done that, he's like arguably gotten robbery decisions against like bums like Abu Azaitar or his brother, whatever his name. Or yeah, Abu Azaitar. Yeah, I'm going to go Jackson McVeigh. Just going to be nasty in the clinch. Maybe like Abu Azaitar, he'll like rip a dreadlock out. You know, like that's something I always worry about with these long-haired guys, especially dreadlocks. Because like he can really grab a hold of those and rip them out. And it's happened to Dumas before. I remember like the dreadlocks just laying in the middle of the cage. He's like, what the fuck? He just ripped it out of his head. So I could see that honestly happening again with a guy who's really clinch heavy and is going to be grabbing the back of his head. Don't be surprised if there's a couple of dreadlocks on the floor. But tough fight, close. But I'm going to just trust the clinch ability of Jackson McVeigh. A lot of elbows, clinch knees, maybe open a cut. I'm going to say finish just because I feel like when you got two tards, they're going to fight like two tards. Maybe Dumas will fight like he really needs it. I'm going to trust McVeigh just having a more elite option. And it's funny I'm saying the word elite and Jackson McVeigh in the same sentence. But I'm going to trust him to hurt him in the clinch and grab some sort of submission after in the second round. Jackson McVeigh, clinch, club, and sub.
This is a 50-50 fight. But I've picked this motherfucker McVeigh twice, and he shits the bed every single time. So I've come to a conclusion. I will never pick him, even if I have to pick this trash guy in Cedricus Dumas himself. I'm going with Cedricus. I'm gonna go take the underdog shot here. Fuck it. You could say it's probably just because I don't want to pick Jackson McVeigh to ever win a fight, mainly because I picked him the last two fights. You could say, why did you pick Bruno? Why did you pick him against Bruno Ferreira? You're a retard, blah, blah, blah. I get that, but Bruno was also making stupid mistakes prior to getting a knockout win, so I thought that, hey, man, this dude's tall, undefeated, you wouldn't think that. He was undefeated. He was undefeated when he came into the UFC. Undefeated. He was getting finishes and shit. I could see why Alex is picking against Cedricus, because I think this is the type of people that Jackson McVeigh could possibly beat, but I did not like that Zachary Ruiz performance, even though he was winning. I can't pick him. I can't pick him at all. Yeah, we didn't get much of the Zachary Ruiz fight against Cedricus as well, but Cedric I thought was winning before he got dick kicked. I think Zachary Ruiz kind of needed the dick kick, if funny enough. I don't know why I think that, but from what I remember, I think he needed the dick kick because it looked like the whole motivation of this man only having $10 in his bank account was looking like a motivational arc for him. But I don't know. It is a tough fight. I could get this wrong. I had a really good record in middleweight, and then Bruno Ferreira shit the bed here too. So it's kind of funny that a Bruno Ferreira victim I'm picking against the Bruno Ferreira victim, and my first loss is Bruno Ferreira. So my first loss was picking Bruno Ferreira. My bad. I might regret this in the future, but I'm never picking this motherfucker to win a fight again. I hope he gets cut. I hate Jackson McVeigh. I picked him twice, and he shit the bed. I'm not making the same mistake. I'll go with Cedricus by decision. Maybe a finish. Second round finish, maybe.
Interesting fight here in the middleweight division. The clash between the Reaper, Cedricus Dumas, 10-4, and the Moose. What is this? 6-2, Jackson McVeigh. Let me see if I'm seeing that correctly. Yes, I am. Jackson McVeigh, 0-2 in the UFC. Big guy for middleweight, 6'4", 77-inch reach. Has similar intangibles to that of like a Rainier de Ritter. He reminds me a little bit similar in style because I think his best asset is his clinch. He's big for middleweight, I suppose. I do like that he trains at MMA Lab, and I do like that he has John Crouch as his coach. I'm actually shocked to find out these things. I thought he was in some rural like coach and like camp. He actually has a very good camp, and I'm kind of shocked at like the way he's been fighting in the UFC a little bit IQ wise. Nonetheless, killer, kind of a killer be killed fighter a little bit. Both of his losses are by finish. All of his wins are by finish. He hasn't really gone 15 minutes in his pro career, so I question the caliber of competition he's faced. As for Cedricus Dumas, I mean, this guy is an enigma. He's a question mark in itself. A lot of glaring red flags. Is he even focused on fighting? Does he know if he's gonna sleep like at his crib tonight? Type shit, like real life shit, And like that could weigh on a fighter's mind, and it could either be so much of a weight it like drags him down, or they could use it as a form of motivation. His 4 losses, I kind of think at least 3 of them would beat Jackson McVeigh. Mikhail Onsachuk, Dante Johnson, and what's the other one? Kellen Sachik, Dante Johnson, and who else did he fight? Nurul Saruzabayev. He did kind of cheat in that fight, but still, I kind of feel like these guys could give McVeigh problems as well. The Josh Frem loss wasn't great. Got guillotined in that one. So in terms of like a submission, I could see Jackson McVeigh being that, like the route to where he wants to win the fight. I feel like if you're Dumas, you kind of want to extend the fight. You've been to a decision before in your career, whereas he hasn't. You've won a decision in the UFC. I feel like if you're McVeigh, you're going for the finish. You're trying to impose your will on Dumas. I don't know how that's going to do, like, the longer the fight goes. So I think for Dumas to have made it, I know he lost to Dante Johnson, but Dante Johnson lived in the first round. For him to have made it out of the first round and arguably have won the first round against Dante Johnson, I viewed that as impressive, because I kind of feel like there's a world where if McVeigh fought Johnson, he'd just touch him and he'd die. But he's never been knocked out. So, you know, there's a world where maybe he takes the punches. Tough fight. I could see logic definitely being McVeigh to get his first UFC win. But I feel like if he doesn't get the clinch going and he doesn't get the grappling going, it's pretty competitive on the feet. And I'd venture to say I'd give the advantage to Dumas, because he's fought more UFC caliber strikers like Olasechik. Tough fight, but I'm going to go with a ugly Sindrikas Dumas decision win upset, where it's kind of like this fight should be a finish, and we're thinking like it's going to be nonstop action. I think Jackson McVeigh is just going to try to like clinch up and push him up against the fence, and Dumas is just going to be fighting that all fight. But when they're at range, I feel like Dumas is going to be landing good leg kicks. He'll be kind of making McVeigh whiff on shots, and like this will probably be like bar none like his most competent like performance on the feet in the UFC. I think he's just the more dynamic striker. And I just want to see real quick what Jackson McVeigh's takedown defense is. I know he lost both fights, and Bruno Ferreira would beat Dumas too. I just wanted to see like what like his accuracy is. But he's more of a clinch guy. He doesn't really shoot like conventional takedowns. Like he kind of like wears on you. So I don't even need to look that up. But yeah, I'm going to go Sindrikas Dumas by decision. I know he's not the best fighter, obviously, but 6-2, 10-4, the gap ain't crazy. He's been to a decision. I think the longer the fight goes, it favors him. I think he is the better striker from a technical aspect and an athletic aspect. If McVeigh doesn't impose his will physically on him and weigh on him, like, and they're at range, I just think Dumas is more dynamic. So I'm going to go Sindrikas Dumas, an ugly decision where his total strikes and points are valued higher than the total control and whatever grappling exchanges McVeigh is trying to force. Ugly decision.
All right, moving on to another ugly shit fucking middleweight fight. Eric McConaughey versus Rodolfo Vieira. I mean, what a guy, Rodolfo Vieira. I mean, the only thing that kind of makes me want to pick McConaughey in this is the fact that he had a decently close fight with Susurkayev. But I think Susurkayev is just green. And, you know, he's still beating these guys. He's still putting them out. He got like a split decision win over Cody Brundage. I mean, like, this is the level of guy we're talking. I think Susurkayev is good on the ground, but I think he's actually much more of a striker than a grappler, Dagestani. I'm going to trust Rodolfo Vieira to come back from the head kick and beat Eric McConaughey. Eric McConaughey just isn't very good. Rodolfo Vieira isn't great either, but he still has that X factor of grappling, which is what I'm leaning on for this pick. I don't feel like Eric McConaughey has an X factor. He's just like Khalil Rountree's retarded little brother that like somehow got a job at the local hard store and is making $10 an hour because they can't pay him the same as normal people. It's a shame that Eric McConaughey is still in the UFC. He like really is no reason here. He's like mentally retarded. You know, like I said, he's like Khalil Rountree's mentally retarded little brother. He looks just like him, fights nothing like him, and just is he's here. Like, I don't have anything to say. I guess he fights at range and kicks and punches. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Adolfo Vieira, I think he's going to take his back and probably choke him at some point. Adolfo Vieira is pretty shit on the feet, but he's been able to kind of hang sometimes with his boxing and at least avoid getting head kick KO'd outside of getting bow nickeled. I don't think he's going to bow nickel him. I'm going to trust Adolfo Vieira and his ADCC grappling BS that he's going to beat this one dude. Yeah, this guy. Like Eric McConaughey is going to be fixing pipes in a year. Second round rear naked choke.
Yeah, I got Rodolfo Vieira as well. I'm not really going to do a full breakdown about it. Alex pretty much nailed it on the button. McConaughey, he's looking like your future plumber, and Rodolfo Vieira looks like he'll still be around, just getting shit canned by up and comers. I got Vieira by second round sub.
Interesting one here in the middleweight division. Rodolfo Vieira going against yet another MMA Lab fighter in Eric McConaughey. Rodolfo Vieira coming off that loss to Bo Nickel. He got head kicked. He got beat up on the feet. He'll have a fight like that, but then he'll look like he does against Tresean Gore on the feet. So it's like, you never know what you're going to get with him on the feet. I think he has a decent jab, but again, like, he shouldn't want to live off his striking. He should want to get to the grappling where he has legit credentials. And McConaughey, he had a, I guess, decent performance in the aspect that he didn't get killed in the first round against Susakayev. But that to me was more so like Susakayev not taking him serious and just taking his foot off the gas and like not caring. Like, he was just he was literally like nonchalant as possible in that fight. Like, he just didn't care. McConaughey, I suppose on paper you have to say, I guess he's the better striker technically. Has a loss by submission, 2 losses by decision, and a loss by KO. So he's lost all 3 methods. Rodolfo Vieira. As for McConaughey, his 4 pro losses, all 4 of them are by knockout. Susakayev, Nursultan Ruzaboyev, those aren't bad. I think it's a very black and white fight. I think McConaughey is going to want to be striking, where Vieira is going to want to be grappling. But I reckon Vieira can compete more on the feet than McConaughey compete on the ground. He has 3 submissions, but I don't think he's fought a grappler on the level of a Vieira. Vieira's got 9 submissions. So, yeah, I think I'll make it a clean sweep. I'll go Rodolfo Vieira by submission in round. I'll go round 2. I'll go round 2 sub. I think he can compete on the feet. I think he'll try to pump out the jab early. I think like where people are thinking he's going to be more technical and more reserved against Bo Nickel, I kind of think the opposite. I think he's going to want to get the offense going. I think he's going to want to get forward going like early of Vieira. So I think he'll pump out the jab, try to mix in takedown attempts. And even if he's not getting them, just the action of pushing up McConaughey against the fence, getting him uncomfortable, wearing on him physically, I think that's going to pay dividends. Where I think he'll narrowly win the first round on control time and just having him up against the fence on failed takedown attempts. McConaughey will be a little frustrated. He's going to be like, all right, I probably lost round 1, even though I felt like I did good on the feet. So I'm going to go forward more. And I think that's going to play into a takedown for Vieira where they clash in the center and he's actually able to get him down. And I think he will advance to a position where he can get the submission. I'm going to go second round submission, Rodolfo Vieira, and a bounce back win.
Moving on from some middleweight slop into some heavyweight slop. Yeah. Marcus Buchecha versus Ryan Spann. It feels like Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Buchecha, but it's not. That fight was a draw. I honestly don't remember a damn thing from it. I guess there was a 10-8 probably, or a point deduction or something like that, if you remember. But Ryan Spann, more in the UFC, come up from light heavyweight. You could say a light heavyweight skill, but light heavyweights are honestly pretty fucking shit too. He's got a sneaky guillotine. I don't think he's going to be able to out-grapple Buchecha or anything like that, but maybe there's a threat there that Buchecha respects, so he isn't going to shoot as much as he normally would, simply just because of the fact that he can threaten that, and he's established that as a weapon in his game. I think the big difference here is going to be the striking and the power of Ryan Spann. Marcus Buchecha's 5-2. Both losses pretty much are in the UFC. One was Umar Kane and one FC, but the Nzechukwu fight probably should have been a loss if I remember right. And I think you take a Nzechukwu who's less technical, more powerful, and quicker to grapple, and probably better at grappling, which is Ryan Spann. I'll pick him to win and not have it be a draw. I'm gonna pick Ryan Spann. It's a weird fight. Anytime you look at these fucking matchups, it is heavyweight slop, middleweight slop. It's always tough, but Buchecha hasn't won a fight in the UFC. Ryan Spann has won several fights in the UFC, despite losing in bad fashion to the likes of Anthony Smith and other guys. I mean, Buchecha just simply hasn't been here to compete, and we've seen time and time and time again that these guys not in the UFC are not on our level. No, don't matter how. Oh, Patchy Mix is a great grappler. Yeah, no. Same thing here. I don't care about your ADCC BS unless you've proven it in the UFC, and you haven't. I'm going to go Ryan Spann, being a stronger, more dangerous version of Kennedy. Fuck it. Am I going to go finish? Yeah, I'm going to go knockout. Fuck Buchecha. He gasses out in Vieira fashion and gets KO'd at some point in the feet. Second or third.
Tough fight to predict. Back to what I said about the Cedricus Dumas fight and the Jackson McVeigh fight's kind of shit versus shittier. Who's shit and who's shittier? We don't know. Ryan Spann lost to Anthony Smith. I don't like that. And I really don't like that. He got two-peated by Anthony Smith. Oh, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll go Ryan Spann. He's Waldo ain't a bad loss. I reckon Marcus Buchecha would get slimed out quicker. Bogdan Guskov is not a bad loss either. Anthony Smith is a horrible loss, though. That's the one that makes me iffy. Anthony Smith got him down. Oh, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. Fuck. Oh, this is a tough fight. This is a real tough fight to predict. I'll stick with the Ryan Spann pick. Fuck it. If I go down, I'll go down swinging. But I don't feel comfortable about this pick at all. I swear, if Ryan Spann finds a way to lose this, I'm gonna lose my shit. I'll go with a Ryan Spann KO second round. Buchecha tries to shoot takedowns and he gets knocked out after exhaustion.
Interesting fight here in the heavyweight division. You have, what is this, 23-11 Ryan Superman Spann going up against Marcus Buchecha, boasting a 5-2-1 record, coming off of a draw against Kennedy Nzechukwu in his last outing. I would say the more durable fighter by default, I suppose, is Marcus Buchecha, but given he has significantly less pro fights than Ryan Spann has upwards of 30-plus pro fights, whereas Buchecha has less than 10. Buchecha's 2 losses come by decision against Umar Kane and 1FC, who's not a bad fighter, Rug. He's a 7-1, and he controversially beat Anatoly Malkin, so that's not bad. And Martin Boudet, who is a true heavyweight. Ryan Spann is the better athlete, I reckon. He's like the more, how would I say, more physically imposing, bigger, better on the feet, more athletic and dynamic, at least for sure early on. I think Ryan Spann is a very dangerous first-round fighter. I really do feel that. I feel that he can potentially get that takedown or force a grappling exchange where he's dangerous with submissions, or he can just land the big shot like he did against Dominic Reyes. But you also get performances against Ryan Spann that make you shake your head. Trains at a good gym in Fortis. I do like the staff at Fortis. I think they're a very good gym. But I don't know. There's just like a sentiment of like, there's at times where like you feel when you watch Ryan Spann, if things aren't going his way in the first round, it's like this fighter doesn't take this seriously, like respectfully. Like there are just moments and lapses of judgment where you're just like, he's not really in this for real. Like, you know what I mean? Where it's a case of he's kind of more athlete than fighter, where if adversity strikes, he doesn't adjust as well if things don't go according to like plan A. As for Buchecha, I mean, he leaves a lot to be desired on the feet. I mean, he kind of got not mollywopped, but he got like very much outpointed on the feet by Martin Boudet. Not a great look, but Boudet's a big guy. And Rug's not bad. I think those losses aren't bad. Those are true heavyweights. I guess I'd say Buchecha is more durable. He hasn't been knocked out. He hasn't been subbed. Both of his losses are by decision. Both these guys, I think, are going to fatigue. I think after round one, like, yeah, honestly, the more I think about it, like, it really is round one dictates the fight. Either Buchecha gets the takedown because Ryan Spann has like 52% takedown defense. Either he gets the takedown and subs him, or ground and pound TKOs him. I think you would go for the sub more. Or Ryan Spann is just going to be the better athlete, walk him down. It's either going to be like a sub, or it's going to be like Pereira Ankalaev, where he just walks up to him and just starts hitting him, and there's just like, oh, you're just a better athlete than me. I can't do anything right now. It's very black and white to me. I think a finish occurs in this fight. I think it's either a Ryan Spann TKO or it's a Marcus Buchecha sub. Really feels like a coin flip, but I'm going to hope that Marcus Buchecha doesn't like play on the feet like he did with Kennedy. And I'm hoping that he learned his lesson from that draw. And I'm thinking that he's going to very much try to attack the grappling. I think he's going to try everything to neutralize Ryan Spann's early, his explosiveness, whether it be cage riding up against the fence in the clinch or just shooting takedowns. I think this fight is really dictated by round one. And I just want to see, I know Ryan Spann's been subbed, but what rounds? I just want to see what rounds. I think he got subbed late against Anthony Smith. Or no, I think he got subbed early against Anthony Smith in the first fight. I just want to see what rounds he got subbed in. He got subbed round one against Krylov. He got subbed round one against Anthony Smith, and he got subbed in round two. Fuck it. Round one sub, Marcus Buchecha. I think the fight's very black and white. Either Ryan Spann kills him on the feet or Buchecha gets the takedown, and that's the fight. So, yeah, I'm going to go Buchecha. I'm just going to trust in him to implement his game plan better than trusting Ryan Spann. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Marcus Buchecha sub. Gets his first win in the UFC, first round sub.
All right, moving on to the next fight on the card. Montel Jackson versus Raoni Barcelos. It's a tough one. We graduated from heavyweight slop to bantamweight mid. Barcelos getting his first ranked opponent for this win streak. Montel Jackson, tall, long boxer, got huge hands for the weight class. Barcelos, I feel like he's been able to be a crafty vet against a lot of these guys, like the version of Peyton Talbot he fought. He was able to get him kind of worried about the stand-up and the takedowns, so he was really able to just find those takedowns whenever. When he had him worrying about two things. I think Talbot has graduated from that, and I think if they had a rematch, Talbot would smoke him. I think this version of Montel Jackson, he's got better takedown defense than that version of Talbot did at the time. He's longer. He's more disciplined with his range. I feel like he won't throw any more. Like, I feel like Talbot was throwing some stuff that got him out of range and let Barcelos getting off balance with like knees he'd throw. He'd overthrow some shots. That's one problem Montel doesn't have. He's very patient with his striking, fights off the back foot, pops the jab, uses the calf kick. Mostly a boxer, but I think Barcelos is mostly a boxer as well. I like the takedown defense on the Montel side, plus the range. I feel like he could just snap KO Barcelos at some point in this fight, but I think, more likely it'll be a decision. I don't think Barcelos is really going to be able to use his skills against Montel. Montel's 34. He's been in the UFC for a while. I thought he won the Figueiredo fight. Just you can't really fight like that and expect to be given a decision against Figueiredo in Brazil. So, that happened. This fight, though, in the Apex, there will be no favoritism. I think they kind of want Raoni gone just because he's killed their prospects. Time and time again, they keep giving him guys unranked, even though he deserves a ranked opponent. And now he's getting his first ranked opponent, and it doesn't even feel like Montel's ranked. Feels like he should be unranked, but, he is. He's number 14. I'm going to trust him to keep the distance with his long-rangey boxing. I think it'll be mostly a boxing match in 4-ounce gloves, and if it's that, I trust Montel Jackson as the better boxer, more disciplined, longer range to win this by decision. I'm going to say 29-28. Maybe Raoni gets a takedown in there.
Mike, you're muted.
Can y'all hear me now? Okay,
Yeah.
Good. I got Raoni Barcelos. I think when he's an underdog like this, he tends to do really, really good. So I'm gonna take him in this fight, and plus I didn't really like the IQ moves from Montel Jackson in his fight against Davidson Figueiredo. You could say that this is a step down in comp because Figueiredo is like former champion, respectable fighter, etc., etc. And even you could argue a robbery for Montel Jackson, but he got himself in those mistakes, man. You can't do that. And if you're making mistakes against Hani Barcelos, I don't know if I can trust you to win. I'm gonna keep this short and simple. I'm gonna go with Hani Barcelos by a decision win. I think he could get the grappling going. And if Montel continues not to use his reach and shit, he's going to lose. So I'm going to go with Barcelos, 29-28, unanimous decision.
Interesting fight here in the bantamweight division. We have Montel Jackson, 15-3, going up against 21-5, Hani Barcelos. Montel is the bigger, longer fighter. He will have a 8.5-inch reach advantage in this one, and he is 3 inches taller, as well as being 5 inches. 5 years younger. Tough fight. I think his last fight was just a very uninspiring performance against Davidson Figueiredo on the road in Brazil. He was a big favorite in that fight, and I mean, Davidson didn't even really get the grappling going like you would want him to if you picked him in that fight. And he was able to win that fight off of kind of just staring at Montel. That was a nothing burger of a fight. Very disappointing what Montel made of his opportunity to rise up the rankings. Didn't seem like he grabbed it by the horns. Kind of let it just get past him. Now he's going against Hani Barcelos, who I kind of feel like is going to kind of fight opposite of what Figueiredo was doing in that fight. Figueiredo would there was like dead air in between sequences of that fight. Like literally it was like one of, bar none, like that was a terrible fight. I'm sorry. Let's just call it what it is. It was a terrible fight. I expect Barcelos to not do what Figgy did. He's not going to look for the shot and be all 10. No, he's going to crash forward. He's going to try to get grappling exchanges going. He's going to try to get the strike, just everything. He's just going to try to MMA the situation up. Overwhelm Montel with volume and decisions, whether to defend takedowns or to defend the striking. It's interesting. I guess I'd say the power advantage, I would lean towards Montel. Yeah, I would say that. Durability, I would also say Montel. I want to say Barcelos has only been knocked out the one time against Umar Nurmagomedov, and he's been subbed before. But Montel isn't going to grapple, so that doesn't really matter. It's the volume of Barcelos I do think is concerning for Montel, because if Montel doesn't get the knockout, I could see it if he fights the way he did against Figgy, that's bad, because Barcelos, even if he's not getting takedowns, he's just going to be doing more activity, checking more boxes, that the score is going to be in favor of Barcelos. I don't mind Mike making the Barcelos pick, because I do think there is a bit of a discrepancy in volume to an extent, at least given off their last couple performances. Barcelos is in the swing of things. He's beaten Talbot. He beat Cody Garbrandt, beat Ricky Simone. All good wins. But I do think Montel Jackson at this present moment is more dangerous than all those guys, I reckon. I think he is more dangerous than a Garbrandt right now, more dangerous than a Simone right now. Even though Simone got the knockout win over Basharat, I think Montel is a more dangerous striker any given day than Ricky Simone. Talbot, though, that's the question. Is Montel as dangerous as Peyton Talbot? That's where there's a bit of a discussion, a bit of a decision to make there. This is a tough fight. Statistically, it does say that Montel does have decent takedown defense. We didn't really get to see the Damon Blackshear fight. I wanted to see how he would defend those exchanges, but he just killed him in the first round. Handed Daniel Marcos his first loss. But you're looking at his last couple wins. I mean, outside of Marcos and Blackshear, it's Ronnie Yaya, it's Julio Arce. He's now in PFL. JP Buys, not that crazy. And he's very inactive. Yeah, I feel even though Barcelos is older, he is so much more active than Montel. It's crazy how much more active he is. He's on a 4-fight win streak. His last loss was Kyler Phillips, who arguably could have won his last fight against Charles Jourdain. Tough fight. I feel if Montel doesn't knock him out, this gets interesting. Let me see. Barcelos is 10-3 in decisions. I think Montel is probably like only got the one decision loss. He's 3 losses in decisions. Figgy, Brett Johns, Ricky Simone. Wow. He lost to Ricky Simone where Honey Barcelos beat him. Tough. I think he's the bigger fighter. He's the longer fighter. It's set up for him to kind of find the shot because Barcelos is going to go forward. But I feel like if he doesn't get the finish, it could get sweaty. Tough fight. Can Barcelos do what Figgy did? Honestly, this is the toughest fight on the card for me, low-key, because I'm kind of have my mind made up. Outside of the main event, I kind of have my mind made up on a majority of the fights. So I do apologize for taking so long, but I think I'm going to edge narrowly, ever so slightly, to Montel Jackson. I think he's the bigger guy. I think he can defend the takedowns. I do think he's a better striker than all the guys that Barcelos, outside of Peyton Talbot, all the guys that Barcelos is fighting right now. I'll go with the decision win for Montel Jackson. Not that confident though. I could see Barcelos being the old man, just keep being the crafty vet that he is. He has a lot of fights, 26 pro fights, but I'm gonna go Montel Jackson by decision. Not that confident though. Scary.
Tony, check your phone.
Sure.
But before we move on to our next bantamweight matchup, got some breaking news here. 2 bantamweight fights have been announced for the June 6th Apex card. Marcus McGee versus Tony's boy Jacob Wicklax. Bryce Mitchell versus Victor Henry as well. And on International Fight Week, the biggest fight of the bunch, Corey Sandhagen versus Mario Batista in a rematch. So just wanted to announce those real quick. But moving on to our next fight of the card, bantamweight scrap, what will probably be the fight of the night, Adrian Luna Martinetti versus Davy Grant. Davy Grant, he's an older man. You know, he's losing his grit in real time, losing his chin. Still a tough guy. He, wants to slug it out. He came back from really bad injuries before he fought Cheeto, I think it was, or Jonathan Martinez, or around that time. He was dealing with some really bad injuries. But, older, taking a lot of damage now. Adrian Luna Martinetti is a scrapper. This is going to be fight of the night. I'm very confident in that. Both guys go for the kill. I just think it's like Davy Grant's going to be in a war, and Adrian Luna Martinetti is also going to be in a war. Who do I think has a better survival chance? I think it's Adrian Luna Martinetti. I think he's taken less damage throughout his career. He only has 1 loss, I believe. He's just a guy who will get it done. He'll get in your face. He'll push a pace. If it gets to the later rounds, I trust him to obviously have more cardio in the tank than an older Davy Grant who has a big weight cut to 135. Sometimes I see him and I'm like, I don't really know how you do it at 40, but I'm gonna trust Adrian Luna Martinetti, just putting the pace on, using the clinch, using just rapid strikes on top of Davy Grant. If they get to the ground on the clinch, I think we're gonna see moments where he's just lighting up Davy Grant with Davy Grant's back to his fence. I think Davy Grant will be countering, making it a tough fight, making it a fun fight. But I think eventually Adrian Luna Martinetti is that's a mouthful to say. Will eventually get a finish against an older Davy Grant in the 3rd round. I think it'll be a great fight, but I think we're just going to see slowly Davy Grant breaking and breaking and breaking, whereas Davy Grant wouldn't have done that if he was a little bit younger or in his prime. I think Adrian Luna Martinetti is going to break Davy Grant, and I could even see this maybe being an injury on the Grant side. This is going to be a really high-paced, hectic, brutal fight, and I'm not sure his body can hold up to it. I'm going to say Adrian Luna Martinetti 3rd round TKO.
Yeah, I don't think Davy Grant is young enough for me to pick him. He's kind of been on a wear and tear, and I think he's coming off a knockout loss too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he got clubbed and subbed by Jourdain. Not a bad loss, but not a good one for me to not a good one after coming back from. I'm gonna go with Adrian Luna Martinetti. I think he'll get it done. He's the younger fighter and he's the fresher fighter. I'm gonna keep it short and simple. I'll go with a 2nd round KO for Adrian Luna Martinetti.
Interesting fight here in the bantamweight division. UFC debut of Ecuador's Adrian Luna Martinetti, 17-1 record, going up against Davy Grant, 15-8. Really good fight. I think Alex and Mike made all the points that needed to be said. UFC level experience, you have to give the edge to Davey Grant. But Father Time, man, he's undefeated. And the harsh reality of the situation is despite how good Davey Grant is, win or loss, how he's done the last 5-some years, and I really am impressed by what he's done. Despite that, he is as old as he is in the bantamweight division, and this is a division that is predicated on skill. That being said, for as old as he is, he does still hit. He does still crack for someone his age. Power is the last thing to go, but unfortunately, he has someone who, knock on wood, South Americans are known to be durable, and especially Ecuadorians. I think Martinetti is going to have a crazy chin. Obviously, if you saw his last fight in the Contender Series against Mark Volagdin, that got him in the UFC. I think Volagdin and Davey Grant are similar in durability, but there's a significant edge in youth. I think round 1, Davey Grant's going to win, but in rounds 2 and 3, I see Martinetti pouring it on, saying, I mean, it's going to be a war from the jump. So technicality, I think Davey Grant will be the more technical looking one, but slowly but surely, Martinetti will be pushing through. I'm torn between like a doctor stoppage TKO, because I think Martinetti's not going to quit. Like, you're going to have to kill him, and he just so happens to not have been killed yet. But I'm going to go Martinetti by... I want to go late TKO, but Davey Grant's never been knocked out, if I'm not mistaken. He's never been knocked out. Yeah, he's never been knocked out in the amount of... But I think the Jourdain shot, even though it was a sub, I think that's bad. So, yeah, I'm going to go... third round TKO. I'm going to follow Alex. I'm going to go third round TKO Martinetti. But I wouldn't be shocked if it's a second round doctor stoppage from like an elbow late in the second round. I wouldn't be shocked if it's that. I'm going to go third round.
All right, moving on to our next fight of the card. Some lightweights. Rafa Garcia versus Alexander Hernandez. You know, it's tough. I feel like Alexander Hernandez is on a better win streak right now, whereas Rafa Garcia isn't. But I think Rafa Garcia's got a little bit more to his game. It's a little bit difficult for me to predict this, because I feel like if it was in that kind of COVID era, I probably would have winded up picking Rafa Garcia to win this fight. But that's not when this fight's happening. I feel like Alexander Hernandez has kind of improved a little bit. I feel like it's kind of meeting like right before you have that drop off. You still have like your physicality of your prime, but you have like the experience of an unk. And I feel like that's kind of what we're seeing in Alex Hernandez's game. Rafa Garcia just hasn't been that impressive to me. He's only 2 years older than Garcia, bigger, despite being the former featherweight. Great takedown defense. I don't see any real finishing potential on the side of Rafa Garcia. So, and I think just on the feet, he's not impressive either. You know, it's just going to be sloppy boxing and takedown maxing, and I think Hernandez can deal with that. You know, I've liked his boxing recently. Hernandez, you know, he's been able to find shots with power. That being said, Rafa Garcia doesn't really get chinned. He's pretty durable. I think the only time he's been TKO'd was the ground and pound with Grant Dawson. And, you know, that's not like you're KO'd on the feet or anything like that. It's a little tough because I do think this fight will have to go the distance. And I feel a little bit uncomfortable picking Alex Hernandez to win by decision, but that's what I'm going to do. I think Rafa Garcia is going to eat some big shots, but he's going to be able to survive it because of the Mexican chin, mixing the grappling a little bit and survive. But ultimately, I'm going to be picking Alexander Hernandez to win a decision, landing the bigger shots in round 1 and 3.
Yeah, I got Alexander Hernandez as well. I'm going to keep it short and simple here. I just think he's the better fighter, got better experience, and I don't think Rafa's really all that to me to pick him to beat a Hernandez, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, I didn't like the Jared Gordon fight. I felt like he needed Jared Gordon to get into that car hit and run thing. So we'll see what happens. I got Hernandez by decision.
Another good fight here in the lightweight division between Alexander Hernandez and Rafa Garcia. Rafa Garcia, you know, he's fairly durable. He has only been knocked out the one time by Grant Dawson, so I guess that does speak to his durability to an extent. Alexander Hernandez, he's had his ups, he's had his downs. There was a point in time where he was like a big prospect, but then he had his humbling moment. His debut was crazy. He knocked out Benito Arias, but then, the Cowboy fight and other losses happened. But now he seems to find himself in arguably, like, outside of like when he came to the UFC, like pretty much the best phase of his career, where the physical meets the mental, and he's got the experience and the athleticism to execute what he needs to do to win fights. And he's currently on a 4-fight win streak where he's got 2 finishes. Rafa Garcia is tough. He has a decent gas tank. I even picked him against Grant Dawson. That was a bad pick. I just feel like the better striker is Alexander Hernandez. And I mean, I guess Garcia is more durable, so the longer the fight goes, that'll help. But I don't really see him being too successful in the grappling exchanges either. I feel like Hernandez can defend the takedowns, and I feel like he can land the better shots. So I'm torn between a knockout and a decision, but I think I'm going to be bold. He knocked out Diego Ferreira, and I think Diego Ferreira is a better striker than Rafa Garcia. And I think Chase Hooper is like a better grappler than Garcia. So maybe Garcia is a better wrestler, but I think dealing with his grappling and handling it the way he did, I think he should be able to handle Garcia's. I'm going to go with a second-round TKO for Alexander Hernandez in a big one, making it 5 straight.
Moving on to our co-main event of the evening, Norma motherfucking Dumont versus Jocelyn motherfucking Edwards. Women co-main event. Another bantamweight fight that could or could not end me and Mike's undefeated record. Jocelyn Edwards has improved lately. She's added a decent amount of grappling to her game, mostly a striker though. Against Norma Dumont, I do value having grappling against her. That seems to be the way you need to finish her. You need to take her down. Ketlin Vieira was almost able to do it. That being said, I do think Ketlin Vieira is a bigger and more physical and better grappler than Jocelyn Edwards. On the feet, it'll be interesting. Norma's a good boxer. Jocelyn's a good kickboxer. I do think this is closer than advertised, but I think, Jocelyn Edwards has kind of recently started doing good. I still think she's getting into a position where she'll reach her prime, but I don't think she's in her prime yet. Whereas I do think Norma's in her prime, and I think she's probably going to wind up getting a title shot. This is a close fight. On the feet, logic says pick the kickboxer, not the boxer. But I don't think Norma's going to have to deal with the grappling in this fight. I actually could see Norma mixing in the grappling against Jocelyn. In the clinch, I think Norma's better. This is a tough fight. I'm getting visions of Jocelyn outstriking her, but I'm going to stick with my pick. More proven at a higher level. I'm going to go Norma Dumont. Split decision, I'm going to say. It's a very close fight, but I'm going to give it to Norma.
Yeah, I got Norma Dumont here. I think she's got the better camp right now. Jocelyn's is on short notice, and there was times where I saw Jocelyn getting outstruck by I think she was getting pieced up by fucking what's her name, Eileen Perez in their fight, and I don't really like that. Norma's really good, both striking department, I think, and grappling. I think I'm going to go with the decision here, 29-28. I think it's just via more experience, and she's got she's got a longer camp, I think.
Yeah, good fight here in the women's bantamweight division. This could potentially be a title eliminator bout, all things considered, in the division. But I'm going to make it short and sweet as well. I'm going to make it a clean sweep. I'm going to go with Norma Dumont as well. If this was perhaps – I do agree with Alex that this is a closer fight than made out to be, but I also agree with Mike. If this fight if Edwards had a real more full camp, I think this could have been potentially more closer than we perceive it to be. But I do think that type of edge in preparation, I think, is a big factor in favor of Dumont, who I do rate her striking. Yes, she did have a bit of a controversial last fight with Vieira. How did you score that? Was her striking effective enough? That being said, I think in all phases of grappling, Vieira is superior to Edwards. Takedown defense, takedown offense, submission defense, all of those things. So I'm going to go with the Norma Dumont decision as well. I just think her striking's better, and her being on a full camp is going to be a big factor in her winning this fight. I think she's very much prepared for the situation.
Moving on to our main event of the evening, Aljamain Sterling versus Yusuf Zalal. This is a tough one. I've gone back and forth on it several times. There has been something recently, though, that changed my mind. And now I'm biased, motherfucker. But you don't talk shit about Volk, you know. He said like out of all the people he wants to like fight the most and he has receipts for and doesn't like, it's Volk. And he's like angry that he doesn't mention him enough in top 5 and top 10 talks and doesn't talk about him as a contender. Get over it, pussy. Shut the fuck up. That's what I have to say about that. And then this dumbass says like, "Oh, Aljamain, I'm gonna try to out grapple him. He's never been subbed before. I'm gonna try to submit him." Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm not picking you now, you bitch. Like, cunt. Like, motherfucker. And I was really sold. I'm like, yeah, the footwork and the this and that, the X's and O's, the beakers and test tubes. No. Aljamain Sterling's been through a lot of wars. He's been KO'd twice. He's not like super chinny or anything. You worry about the cardio going 5, if Zalal's going to be there or not, but he hasn't even had 5 rounds, so there's nothing for me to say that. If he tries to grapple with Aljo, he's going to get raped. If he sticks to his plan. He has to strike, has to use the footwork. But he was taken down a couple times by Jack Shore and some other people. We've never not seen Yusuf Zalal out grappled. He was in the UFC once before. In this current era, in his second tenure, he's looked a lot better. But still, we've seen him be out grappled. That isn't something we haven't seen before. And I want to say we've seen it pretty often. I've seen Damon Blackshear out grapple you, gang. Aljamain's doing it. He's going to take your back. He's going to submit you. Actually, he probably won't submit you. He'll probably lay and pray you. But Aljamain's a proven grappler. If that was an RAF fight with Evloev, Aljamain would have won. I think Tony said that, and he's right. I like the grappling Aljamain. I think he's going to hold him down and get a decision win by lay and pray. I'm sure Zalal could have some moments with the footwork, keeping it bouncy on the outside, popping at Aljo. But Aljo's a great grappler, and I'm going to trust him here, especially because Zalal is an idiot and wants to grapple with him. And is talking shit on Volk. Now the MMA gods are going to smite you. Boring decision win by Aljo.
Yeah, I got Aljo too. I think Aljo's just the more experienced fighter. You don't have to like Aljo. People are still bitter about the whole Yan thing. I like Piotr Yan a lot. I really do, but I've learned to forgive and forget about that whole bullshit, no matter how much controversy there is about that whole shit. But controversies, my bad. But I think Aljo's good, man. I like him more than most. I think he's a good, complete fighter. Great wrestling. His striking is improving even at an older age. He's shown improvements in his work. You could say that he was just picking apart Ortega because Ortega's shit, but we'll have to see how this goes. I got Aljo via unanimous decision. I'm going to go with either a 48-47 or a 49-46 where he just picks him apart on the ground, wins the last 3 rounds, and maybe takes the last 2 off. I don't really think Yusuf Zalal is good enough to beat him like an O'Malley was or an Evloev, who I thought Aljo beat, by the way. So if I thought Aljo won the fight and he was out grappling Evloev, I don't see him getting out grappled by Yusuf Zalal, respectfully.
Main event of the evening. Former champion Aljamain Sterling going up against Yusuf Zalal. Interesting fight in this one. Both these guys were former sparring partners in 2017 when Zalal was an amateur. Aljo being the former champ, he's definitely more battle-tested. He's been in more 5-round fights than Zalal. Zalal has been on a finishing run in his return to the UFC on the regional scene. He improved massively from his first stint where he lost a bunch of fights in a row. This is a bit of a levels fight. I reckon this is by far, outside of Ilia Topuria, like on paper, the best opponent that Yusuf Zalal would have been in the cage with. I think logically, you kind of just have to give the benefit of the doubt to Aljo. Both these guys have similar knockout rate. Lighter man skill, I think it comes into play in this one. Piotr Yan, Sean O'Malley, TJ Dillashaw, he's been in there with the likes of them. Regardless of what form those guys were in those fights, those are on paper better strikers than Yusuf Zalal. So unless he knocks out Aljo, I mean, in decision-based scenarios, I reckon Aljo's had equivalent, if not greater success, especially at a higher level. This is a tough fight, and I am kind of torn because I do think Zalal is good, and I do think the UFC does want to like open up new markets, but I think I'm going to make it a clean sweep. I think you have to give the credentials, the experience, all of these things to Aljamain Sterling in this matchup. And if he's not getting finished and this fight goes the distance, I mean, this is a guy who won a decision against Petr Yan, who at the time was perceived to be the bantamweight GOAT and is on a path to reclaim that. There was a point in time where we considered this guy the greatest bantamweight of all time. So very good fight, but I think Aljo, he's just going to find ways to mix in the grappling and find ways to mix in the striking. He's going to funk master flex. So I'm going to go with Aljamain Sterling by decision. Good fight, though.
And that will do it for UFC Apex event, whatever the fuck, Aljo versus Zalal. Decent card, but yeah, Apex. But without further ado, that will be the end. Thanks for joining with us, everybody. And we will see you next weekend. Peace.